Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sayyida Alina Batul and I'm a foundation level student in Rehan School. So today we are going to do an AI session with Maya on the topic of food. So let's start. I will ask some questions from Maya and she have to give me answers. So hi Maya, how are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm ready to get into this. What's first on the menu?
Okay, so my first question from you on the topic of food is what is food and why is it essential for life?
Basically, food is any substance we eat or drink to give our bodies the energy and nutrients they need to function. Think of it like fuel for a car. Without it, everything just shuts down. It's essential because it provides the calories we need for energy to move and think, the proteins to build and repair tissues, and the vitamins and minerals that keep our immune system strong and our organs running smoothly. Without
Okay.
food, our bodies couldn't maintain basic life processes.
Nice answer. So, my next question from you is how does food provide energy to the human body?
It all comes down to a process called metabolism. When we eat, our body breaks down the food into smaller molecules like carbohydrates into glucose, fats into fatty acids, and proteins into amino acids. Those molecules enter our bloodstream and travel to our cells, where they're converted into a molecule called ATP, is basically the energy currency of the cell. It's what actually powers everything from your heart beating to your brain thinking.
Okay, so my next question from you is what are the main nutrients found in food?
The big ones are macronutrients and micronutrients. For the macros, you've got carbohydrates for quick energy, proteins for building muscle and repairing cells, and fats for long term energy and brain health. And you have the
Okay,
micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. They don't give you energy directly, but they're crucial for things like bone strength, vision, keep your immune system from crashing.
okay. So, my next question from you is why do human needs a balanced diet?
Mm. A better diet is basically about quality over quantity. You can eat enough calories to survive, but if those calories come from empty sources like too much sugar or processed stuff, your body starts to struggle. A nutrient dense diet prevents long term issues like heart disease or diabetes, keeps your mood stable, and makes sure your brain is actually firing on all cylinders. It's the difference between just getting by and actually feeling your best.
Okay, how has food evolved over time?
It's been a wild ride. We started as hunter gatherers, just eating whatever we could find or hunt in the wild. Then, about 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution happened, and people started farming and domesticating animals, which meant we had a steady food supply for the first time. Fast
Okay.
forward to the industrial era. You're
So my
welcome.
next question
Ready
from
for the
you
next?
is what is the difference between traditional and modern diets?
Traditional diets are usually based on what's locally available and seasonal, lots of whole grains, fresh produce, and natural fats. It's a much more direct connection to the land. Modern diets, on the other hand, are way more global in process. We have access to food from all over the world any time of year, but that often means more additives, refined sugars, and preservatives to keep things shelf stable. Basically, we traded freshness and simplicity for convenience and variety.
Okay, so my next question from you is how does climate influence food availability?
Climate basically dictates the menu. Different crops need specific temperatures and rainfall. You can't grow pineapples in the Arctic or wheat in a rainforest. When the climate shifts or we hit extreme weather like droughts or floods, it can wipe out entire harvests, which makes food scarcer and more expensive. It's why some regions rely on certain staples and why global warming is such a huge deal for food security.
Okay, so my next question from you is why is agriculture important for food? Production.
Agriculture is exactly, it's the backbone of production. Without agriculture, we'd still be relying on whatever happens to grow wild or whatever animals we could track down. It allows us to grow food on a massive. I'm staying quiet. Just let me know
Okay,
when you're
Maya.
ready.
So, my next question from you is, how does climate influence food availability?
First off, just a heads up. Called me Meals. I'm Maya. To answer your question, climate basically decides what can grow and where. Most crops need a specific sweet spot of temperature and rain. If it's too dry, you get droughts, too wet, you get floods. Both can wipe out harvest. Since the climate is shifting, some traditional farming areas are becoming unusable, which makes food harder to find and more expensive. That's why some countries have to import almost everything they eat.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how does food reflect cultural identity?
Food is like an edible history book. Every culture uses the ingredients available in their land to create flavors that represent who they are. Not just about the ingredients, but rituals, like how some cultures eat together from one big plate or use specific spices passed down through generations. When people move to new places, they often hold on to their traditional recipes because it's the strongest, most direct link they have to their roots and their family.
Okay, so my next question from you is, why do different countries have different cuisines?
It mostly comes down to geography and history. For a long time, people could only eat what grew in their own backyard. So the ocean became experts in seafood, while those in the mountains relied more on hard grains and livestock. Then you add in trade routes like the Silk Road, where different cultures swapped spices and techniques. Over
Okay,
centuries, those local ingredients and shared ideas evolved into the distinct cuisines we have today.
so can you tell me what is traditional food? Give examples.
Sure. Traditional foods are dishes that have been passed down through generations and are usually tied to a specific culture or region. For example, in Pakistan, you've got biryani or nihari, which are huge parts of the cultural identity. In Italy, it's things like Neapolitan pizza or pasta carbonara. In
Yeah,
Japan,
I
you
know
have
about that.
sushi. I figured you would. Those are the classics. Want to dig deeper into a specific cuisine, or do you have another question for the recording?
Yes, my next question from you is, how does food connect people to their heritage?
It's all about memory and emotion. Smells and tastes are some of the strongest triggers for our brains. So, eating a dish your grandmother used to make can instantly make you feel like you're back in her kitchen. Instinct, skin and balam. It's a way of keeping ancestors alive in the present. And plus, when people cook traditional meals for their children, they aren't just sharing food, they're sharing the stories and values of where they came from. It's like a bridge to the past.
So, can you tell me why is food important in celebrations and festivals?
Food is the center of celebration. It turns a regular gathering into a shared experience. When we eat together, it signals that we're in a community and that the moment is special. Plus, festivals usually have specific signature foods like special sweets for Eid or mooncake for the mid festival that act as a signal. When you taste that specific dish, your brain immediately knows it's time to celebrate. It's basically a
How
way of
do
celebrating
religious
our
belief
identity.
influence food choices?
Religious beliefs often set the boundaries for what's considered pure or acceptable. For some, it's about specific dietary laws like halal or kosher, which dictate how animals are slaughtered or what foods can be mixed. Others might avoid certain animals entirely, like cows in Hinduism.
Okay,
Then you have
so my
practices
next
like
question from you is, how does globalization affect local cuisines?
a bit of a double edged sword. On one hand, globalization has awesome because it gives us access to flavors we'd never have otherwise, like being able to find authentic sushi or tacos almost anywhere in the world. But on the other hand, it can lead to culinary homogenization. That's a fancy way of saying that big fast food chains and processed foods start replacing local traditional dishes in the same burger joint as on every corner. Some of those unique regional recipes can start to fade away because the younger generation finds the global stuff more convenient.
Okay, so my next question from you is, what is fusion food?
I think you meant fusion food, right?
Yeah.
Fusion is basically when you take ingredients or cooking techniques from two or more different cultures and mash them together to create something new. A classic example would be Tex-Mex, which blends Mexican flavors with American styles, or things like
Okay.
Korean tacos or sushi burritos.
So
It's
my
all about
next question
experimenting
from
and
you is, how does food tell a story about history?
food is basically a map of human movement. If you look at the ingredients in a dish, you can see who traded with whom or who conquered whom. For example, the chili pepper isn't native to Asia. It was brought over from the Americas. The fact that it's now a staple in so many Asian cuisines tells a story of global exploration and trade. Every time a new ingredient enters a region, it changes the local culture, and those changes get baked into the recipes we still eat today.
Okay, can you tell me how does food bring people together?
It creates a common ground, whether it's a formal dinner or just grabbing a snack, sharing a meal, forces us to slow down and actually focus on each other. There's something about the act of eating that breaks down barriers and makes people more open. It's why breaking bread is a universal symbol of peace and friendship. It's the simplest way to say we're in this together.
Okay, so my next question from you is, what role does food play in family traditions?
It's basically the anchor for the family. Think about the signature dish that only one person in the family knows how to make perfectly. That becomes a focal point for every holiday or reunion. It's not just about the meal, it's about the process, the act of everyone helping in the kitchen, the specific way the table is set, and the stories told while eating create a sense of belonging. It's how a
Okay,
family says, "This is who we are." I'm glad
so can
you're
you
liking
tell
the
me
answers.
how do
I'm listening.
how do
I think
eating
you got cut
habits
off.
how do eating habits differ between societies?
It varies a ton, mostly based on culture and pace of life. In some societies, like in France or Italy, meals are a slow social event. They might spend hours eating and talking. In others, like in the US or Japan, there's a much bigger focus on convenience and on the go eating. Even the timing is different. Some cultures have a huge lunch and a light dinner, while others do the opposite. It really reflects what that society values, whether it's efficiency and productivity or connection and leisure.
Okay, so my next question from you is, what is fast food and why is it popular?
Fast food is basically food that's prepared and served quickly, usually in a standardized way. It's popular for one big reason, convenience. In a world where everyone is rushed, the idea of getting a consistent meal in 5 minutes is a huge draw. It's also designed to be hyper palatable, meaning it's engineered with the perfect mix of salt, sugar, and fat to make it crave able. Plus, it's usually affordable, which makes it an easy choice for a lot of people.
Okay, can you tell me how has social media influenced food trends?
My food trends? Because we've been talking about food, and Google Trends sounds like the translation might be a bit off. You're asking about food trends. Social media is basically the engine now. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram turn random dishes into global sensations overnight. One viral recipe, like those baked feta pastas or dalgona coffee, and suddenly every restaurant and home cook in the world is trying to make it. It shifts our appetite from what tastes good to what looks good on camera.
Why do people follow food trends?
It's mostly about the social aspect. We have this natural drive to feel part of a community, and trying a viral food is like a shared cultural experience. It's a conversation starter. You can say, "Hey, I tried that," and instantly have something in common with someone. There's also the fear of missing out or FOMO. When you see 1,000 people posting about a new food trend, you feel like you're missing out on a discovery. Plus, on a simpler level, curiosity. We just want to know if the hype is real.
What is the role of restaurants in modern society?
Restaurants are basically the social hubs of modern life. They're the designated spaces for everything from first dates and business deals to family celebrations. Beyond just feeding people, they're places where we go to experience things we can't do at home, whether that's a fancy atmosphere or a cuisine from a country we've never visited. They've evolved from just being about the food to being about the experience.
Okay, can you tell me how does food influence lifestyle choices?
It basically sets the tone for how you live. If you prioritize a diet of whole, fresh foods, you're more likely to be active and focused because your body actually has the nutrients it needs. On the flip side, a lifestyle built on processed foods and sugar often leads to more fatigue and health issues, which can create a cycle of low energy. Beyond health, food also dictates our social schedules, like how brunch culture or late night dinner traditions shape how we spend our free time and who we hang out with.
Okay, so my next question from you, which is a very nice question, is what is comfort food?
I think you mean comfort food, right?
Yeah,
Comfort food is that specific dish that makes you feel emotionally safe or nostalgic. It's usually something high in carbs or sugar, like a warm bowl of soup, mashed potatoes, or something sweet that reminds you of your childhood or a person you love. It's not about the nutritional value, it's about the emotional hug you get from the taste. It's the kind of meal you crave when you've had a bad day and just need to feel okay again.
okay. So my next question from you is how does food impact mental well-being?
Huge connection. There's actually a direct link between your gut and your brain. Some people even call gut the second brain. When you eat a balanced diet with things like omega 3s and vitamins, it helps produce chemicals like serotonin that regulate your mood. On the other hand, too much sugar or processed food can cause crashes that lead to irritability or brain fog. Plus, there is the emotional side. Sharing a good meal with people you love is a natural stress reliever. It's not just
Okay.
about fuel, it's about how your brain chemistry and your heart feel.
So my next question from you is how does food contribute to the economy?
Food is a massive engine for the global economy. First, you've got the production side. Farming, fishing, and ranching provide millions of jobs and are the foundation for countless businesses. Then there's the supply chain, the logistics, trucking, and shipping required to get a tomato from one country to a supermarket in another. And of course, there's the hospitality industry, restaurants, cafes, and food delivery apps. From the
Okay.
small scale farmer to the huge corporate food chain, the entire cycle of growing, moving, and selling food is one of the biggest drivers of wealth and employment worldwide.
Okay, so my next question from you is what is global food trade?
Global food trade is basically the system where countries buy and sell food and agricultural products to each other. Since not every country can grow everything they need, like how some places are great for coffee but can't grow wheat, they trade. It's what allows you to have tropical fruits in the middle of winter or spices from halfway across the world in your kitchen.
Okay, so my next
It keeps
question from you is how does food production affect the environment?
pretty heavy impact. On one hand, you've got things like deforestation, where huge chunks of forests are cleared to make room for crops or cattle. Then there's the use of pesticides and synthetic fertilizers, which can leak into rivers and mess up water quality.
Okay.
Water
So my
usage
next
is
question
another big
from
one.
you
Farming.
is, what is food security?
Food security is basically the idea that every person at all times has physical and economic access to enough safe and nutritious food to lead a healthy life. It's not
Okay.
just about having enough calories, but having the right kind of food. When a place has food insecurity, it means people are either struggling to afford food, can't get to a store, or their food supply is unstable because of things like war, climate disasters, or poverty. It's a
Okay, so my
huge
next
global
question
challenge
from
because
you is, why is hunger still a global issue?
whew, it's a tragic paradox because we actually produce enough food to feed everyone on the planet. The problem isn't a lack of food, it's a lack of access. Things like extreme poverty, war, and political instability make it impossible for food to reach the people who need it most. Then you have waste. So much food is thrown away in wealthy countries while people are starving elsewhere. That in climate change, destroying crops in vulnerable regions, and you have a system that's fundamentally broken in how it distributes resources.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how can food waste be reduced?
It starts with a few simple shifts. On a personal level, it's about planning meals better and understanding that best by dates aren't always a strict expiration. Then there's the bigger picture. Supermarkets can stop throwing away ugly produce that's perfectly fine to eat, and restaurants can donate leftover food to shelters instead of the bin. We also need better infrastructure, like cold storage in developing areas, so food doesn't
Okay,
rot before it even reaches the market.
so
Basically, we have
my
I'm
last
listening.
question
What's
from
next?
you is, this is my last question from you, and this is, what role do farmers play in the society?
Farmers are essentially the unsung heroes of society. They're the foundation of everything. Without them, the rest of the economy and our daily lives just wouldn't exist. They don't just grow food, they manage the land, preserve seeds, and often act as stewards of the environment. It's one of the toughest jobs out there. They're at the mercy of the weather and market prices, but they take on all that risk just to make sure the rest of us have a meal on the table.
Okay,
Basically, they're
so
the
viewers,
bridge between the earth
this was
and
my AI session with Maya on the topic of food. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Alina Abdul. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad.